Welcome to this podcast produced for Business Lincolnshire as part of the Fit for Business programme. I'm Guy Lewis and we're joined today by Stuart McFarlane-Bedford from SMA. Hi Stuart, how are you?
I'm doing really well, Guy. What about yourself?
Yeah, I'm good. So what have you been up to this week?
Well, this week I've been renewing our business insurance. And it got me thinking about the whole topic of insurance and what's it for, and questions like, do I really need it? And with costs going up, is that something I could cut back on and be a bit more risky about things?
So we're immediately thinking about a balance of, should we insure things, should we not insure things?
Well, yes, it is a balance. And most business owners don't realise that they can be liable for a whole range of accidents and issues. Even if it's not their fault, it can seem unfair. And there's lots of tailored insurance around, and you can build the cover to protect against your specific needs or what your business faces. And there are so many flexible insurance products around, everything from digital threats to workplace injuries or costly legal action. And, when we think about insurance, it's a means of protecting against financial loss. And it's a form of risk management, primarily, a contingent against us being sued or losing money.
Okay. And there's that idea of, do I not insure something and take the risk of that, of carrying that myself? Okay. So what's the purpose of insurance?
Well, its aim is to reduce financial uncertainty. What do we do for insurance? Well, by paying a small amount each month for an annual insurance premium, that allows us to be paid out on a promise in the event of some loss or some issue happening.
Okay. And so who is business insurance particularly for?
Well, it's basically for everyone. Anyone who provides a professional service or could have claims brought against them by a client. So that could be sole traders, it could be freelancers, contractors, it could be limited companies, limited liability partnerships, or anyone who provides expertise, skills, or advice to clients. So when you think about it, everyone.
Yeah, everyone's in business. Okay, so how does business insurance differ from personal insurance?
Well, if we think about personal insurance, there tend to be four general types. So there's things like motor insurance, health insurance, travel insurance, home insurance, and we're all familiar with those personally. So when we talk about business insurance, it's to guarantee against loss, which occurs during the course of the business. And there are many types of insurances that a business can take out.
Okay, so but I guess then they're different issues. They're business issues, aren't they? What sort of stuff are we thinking of?
Well, the issues that can happen from a business point of view, there's probably basically four. There's neglect. So it's about being careless in your work, such as giving advice or making a mistake. You think of it, I don't know, a plumber, forgets to solder the joint and you get water all over your house. Yeah. It could be an infringement of intellectual property. For example, if you reuse content that you've taken from a website without permission and you put that on your website or you use that as part of your marketing, you could be sued for that. Another is defamation. We've all heard of that. That's about making false or damaging claims about a person or an organization. So in a business context, you have to be really careful if you are being critical of a competitor. And the last one is breach of confidence. So that's about sharing confidential or commercially sensitive information to someone without the consent of the person that is part of that information. So those are the 4 key things that happen in business, but obviously not in with personal insurance.
Okay, so if I'm thinking about starting a business, what sort of business insurance do I need to consider?
Well, there are a few things that you must consider. The first is identify your business needs and find the appropriate range of policies that relate to that. The level of cover that you need depends on the risks that your business faces or is involved in, and you should consider how much legal fees and compensation you could pay out. So how much is it going to cost you? So in some way, it's worth checking if your clients have a required minimum level of cover. I know that some of the contracts that we have, we are required to have, £5 million worth of, public liability, £5 million worth of PI, and et cetera, et cetera.
So they might be contractual or desirable, but not compulsory.
That's correct. Yes.
Okay.
So they're not compulsory because businesses, you can actually set up in business without insurance.
Okay.
But that is just so risky,
Okay. So how do business owners find out about what insurances they need?
There's 2 ways. So the first is that you could go to an insurance company. So if you think of a typical insurance company, and I've got a list of the top 6 in the UK. So there's people like Hiscox, RSA Insurance Group, the Admiral Group, the Prudential, Direct Line, and Legal and General. So they're sort of the top 6 in the UK. So you can go onto their website. A lot of these, you can put in your requirements and it will give you a quote. Plus, they also have lots of great information about what they offer and what it covers. So there's some good guidance on there. But in some way, that's great if you actually know what you're looking for. If you don't know what you're looking for, then probably the best way is to go to an insurance broker. And an insurance broker will compare the market. So we've all heard of comparethemarket.com, but in some way they're an online broker where they compare all the policies from the different insurance companies, and they can advise you which is the best one for you.
My name is Guy Lewis, and you are with myself and Stuart McFarlane Bedford discussing business insurance. We've talked about the reasons to take out insurance, risk reduction, and where you may be able to find advice on how to take insurance cover. But what are the most common insurance policies that businesses take out?
So the big 3, Guy, are professional indemnity, public liability, sometimes known as third party, and employer liability.
Okay, so let's go back to professional indemnity. What's all that about?
Well, that's about protecting you against legal proceedings if you have delivered a bad service, you've made a mistake, you've given poor advice. So, experts, people like myself and you as business advisors, business coaches, we always give the best advice we can give to people. But sometimes that could be wrong. So an example, I've done some digging around to look at, what's the costs of this. And if you're a sole trader, maybe a plumber or something like that, for professional indemnity, it will cost you about £20 a month for £1 million worth of cover. If you're a micro business, which is 1 to 10, employees, it will cost you about £66 a month for £5 million worth of cover.
Okay, so a couple of £100 a year for a small business, for a sole trader, and £600-700 or whatever for a micro business.
Yeah.
What about the next one?
The next one is public liability and third party. So if you run a business, anyone can issue proceedings against you. And let's just think of what that means is if I'm in an office, I've gone to see someone, I put my briefcase down, someone comes in and trips over my briefcase, then they could actually sue me because I put my briefcase down if they got injured. Another thing, market stall holder, he needs to have third-party cover because if anyone got injured while they were buying products off his market stall, that'd be the same. Along with public liability, quite often product liability is included in that. So that gives the business support if they're held liable for injury or illness caused by a defective product that they've sold. And I've had a look at some of the costs around this. And for a sole trader, for £5 a month, they can get £5 million worth of cover. And if you're a micro business, for about £100 a month, you can, £100 a year, £8.50 a month, you can get, again, £5 million worth of cover. So it's not a huge amount of money to offer you that protection.
Okay, so it's public liability. It's actually, if you're out in the public, either the product or yourself, and that product or yourself or what you're doing causes damage to somebody else, they'll claim it through that public liability insurance.
It protects you. That's the whole point. Okay. That it's protecting you from having to pay the legal fees. Yeah.
Okay, and what's the last of the big three insurances then?
Okay, the last of the big three is employer liability. So this is to cover if anything happens to your employee as a result of the work they do, if they get injured, etc., etc. But also note that for limited companies, if you're a director of a company and not an employee of the company, you still have to take out employer liability because you're still working for the company. Okay. So looking at some costs around this as well. So for a sole trader, again, you're looking at about £5 a month for £10 million worth of cover. And if you're a micro business, again, it's around £8.50 per month for a £10 million worth of cover. So again, we're not talking about hundreds and hundreds of pounds. So if we summarize that, because quite often businesses take out the PI, the PL and the EL. And if we look at the combined costs for a sole trader, it will cost you £350 a year, but that £30 a month, but that's giving you a total of about £16 million worth of cover. And if you're a micro business, it will cost you around £1,200 a year, £100 a month, and that's for usually over £20 million worth of cover.
Okay, and what about they were sort of the big three. What about some of the more optional business insurances? What sort of things can you look at there?
Well, there are loads of different types of insurances you can take out depending on the type of business you're in. So in actual fact, certain companies offer sole traders a specialist type of package. You can also get certain packages for freelancers, so people who work for different companies just as a freelancer. You can get that cover as well. You also get cover for cyber and data because obviously that's very, very prevalent now. Cyber insurance helps you protect your business against a variety of digital risks. And, there are various packages called cyber liability insurance. And also it's about protecting your business if you get hacked, if you lose data, and people can be fined and people can sue you because you've lost their data.
Yeah.
There's also commercial property insurance, office insurance, office equipment insurance. It goes on and on. There are so many. Every insurance company can find a product for you if you feel you need that. I mean, one could be personal accident insurance. So if you're involved in work that could be quite dangerous, it might be worth taking that out for all your staff and for the directors of that company.
Okay, so basically, if it moves or even if it doesn't move, you can insure it.
That's absolutely right. Yeah.
So, are there any sort of specialist business insurances we should be aware of?
There are very specialist business insurances, and they tend to be expensive because they are specialists. So, one is about overseas insurance. If you're working abroad in a country, that may not be very stable. So insurances for your employees or people working out there. Following on from that, there are additional insurances called key employee insurances. And these insure against a key member of your staff becoming injured or possibly dying. And this is where it's a specialist. So it could be the head brewer, a brewery, or a perfumery mixer, and these people, if they were not in the business, that could have a serious effect on the business going forward.
Okay, have you got any examples of that?
The closest example I've got of that is when I was working for Sony, and whenever we flew abroad to America, they used to split up the sales team. So we would have there would probably be 15 of us flying abroad, and what they would do is put maybe 2 or 3 of us on a different plane, so we're all split up on different planes.
That's a sobering thought before you get on an airplane, isn't it?
It is, but obviously they were protecting themselves. They don't want to lose all the sales team in one go should anything unforeseen happen. And that brings me on to sort of the next point, which is about travel insurance. Obviously, if as a business you're sending people around the globe, you're doing a lot of traveling, then it's really important that you make sure there's good travel insurance for your people. And probably the final one is around hazardous and dangerous environments. So I was dealing with a company recently, and they do high level maintenance on roofs. So all their engineers are specialists in harnesses and ropes and things like that, and they have to have special insurance because they go and repair the roofs on things like the Dome in London. It's that type of thing they do.
So, like you said, specialist and therefore probably quite expensive.
Yes.
Okay. So just give me a quick summary of the requirement for insurance and those big 3 that you mentioned.
Okay, so just to summarise, what's it there for? It's to provide security against risk and uncertainty, because we don't know what's around the corner. So as a business, you try and protect yourself as much as you can. And the big 3, the first one is professional indemnity. The second is public and product liability, which is sometimes known as third party. And the last one is employee liability.
Well, thank you very much for today.
Okay. Thank you, Guy.
You've been listening to a Business Lincolnshire podcast. Look out for the next episode. If you're listening on the Business Lincolnshire YouTube channel, don't forget to give us a thumbs up or subscribe down below. If you're on your favourite podcast platform, then remember to follow the show. More information at businesslincolnshire.com.